One of the most significant signs of the tribulation period is the third Jewish temple. And here you can see from the Sanhedrin's page the place where the altar should be. So this is a recent post on Facebook, as well as the Temple Institute has posted recently surveyors on the Temple Mount. Stunning developments. So we have seen their plans before, their architectural layouts and plans for building the third temple on various videos and things that they have shown us. Okay? But now it seems to be going a step further, where they're actually performing surveys and surveyors on the Temple Mount to determine, measure the temple and the altar. Where does the altar? Okay? So the Sanhedrin posted this image, and the Temple Institute as well has performed these surveying functions. Now, we've shown you before that the altar is already built. Here you can see it when they dedicated the altar. This is back in December 2018. And they performed sacrifices. So the altar is already built. They're just determining its location and where it should be. So they seem to be telling us that the place of the altar, right here you can see Sanhedrin 70 Nations, should be right there next to the Dome of the Rock. And this is part of what we know, that these plans exist for them to build a third temple. But where? Well, they seem to be telling us it's right over the Dome of the Rock area, and that's the place of the altar. And Revelation 11 says, measure the temple and the altar. So if we think about that in modern terms, it's performing a survey. Okay, actually measuring where it should be. And here you can see the Temple Institute's Facebook page. On their Facebook page, they recently posted photographs of IDF soldiers and surveyors on the Temple Mount performing this very function. Measure the temple and the altar. There you can see a survey. There you can see the Dome of the Rock. And they were seen on the Temple Mount area performing these functions. So we'll read the article and we'll show you and share with the information with you. But both of these were done just in the last few weeks. Okay, each of these posts and information on the Facebook page of the Sanhedrin and the Temple Institute. You can go and look at these yourself. Okay, so this is stunning. This is the article on the Temple Institute, and there you see the soldiers and measure the temple and the altar. And you can see we're on the Temple Institute's page. Police on the Temple Mount and more about the Temple Mount surveyors. So let's take a closer look at this article. A large contingent of Israeli police forces were seen on the Temple Mount this morning. The following article, translated from Arabic, representing the views of the Temple Mount Muslim Waqf, so they administer the Temple Mount area through the Jordanians, was posted relating to the appearance of surveyors on Wednesday. Religious bodies warned of a comprehensive survey of Alaska Mosque squares. Today, Wednesday morning, Israeli surveyor teams were conducting a 3D scan of imaging of the squares of the blessed Alaska Mosque. The crews stormed, now keep in mind, this is a Muslim source here, so they're saying the crews stormed, but then the Jews put peacefully entered Alaska Mosque, accompanied by members of the occupation forces. Okay, so they're talking about when they entered and the gates and doing where they entered and which had the control of the keys in Jerusalem, and they began scanning and photographing work in all of its yards throughout. Several teams distributed to several points of Alaska. In a statement by the Endowment Council of the Waqf stated that the Israeli police allowed an unidentified group to claim to be working team belonged to a company of foreign country in the aim of conducting a three-dimensional survey of imaging of the grounds of the Alaska Mosque. Okay, so they with advanced scanning tools and imaging tools, the council warned of the occupants' hidden intentions against the mosque, which were picked up by extremist groups to put a title on this violation, declaring with all brazenness and arrogance the engineering project is nothing but a first construction work in the alleged structure. In turn, the Waqf, what took place in the comprehensive survey of Alaska squares is a violation of the sanctity imposing the sovereignty over it, as a prelude to the impending terrible plans aimed at laying hands on the parts of its courts. The Islamic Commission held authorities responsible for the damage of Alaska Mosque. And last part of the article talks about the different areas. The Islamic Commission and Al-Aqsa Mosque is all that is revolved in the mosque, in the Dome of the Rock, and the Marabri Prayer Hall, and the different places that are around the Temple Mount area, guys. The corridors and terraces. So there were forces there, and then there were surveyors. And these are the photographs of the surveyors and the forces. So here you can see the forces walking around the Temple Mount area. And then you can see the surveyors. This is the Dome of the Rock right here, guys. That's the upper part that's blue. So they are right in the area, okay, where this building is here. That's the place they suggest where the altar is. So where they are standing right here, only just a little bit farther in this direction, is where the Sanhedrin had pointed out the location of where the altar should be. So when we're facing the Dome of the Rock, that was this building right here, and here's where the altar was. So they were literally standing right where this person is here, in this space here. And then here is where the Sanhedrin, within a close period of time, this is not a far period of time, just within a few weeks, posted this photograph of where the altar should be. And here's other photographs of the forces. Now, in this photograph by the Sanhedrin, what you can see in red is where the place they believe the temple should be built, okay? So in the center point, they call it the Holy of Holies, and that's the rock there that's in the center of the purple part, which is the Dome of the Rock. So where we were looking before, we were facing the Dome of the Rock in this direction, and you saw this circular structure on the outside dome as separate from the main Dome of the Rock. So what they're saying is that the altar that should be built should be right here. Okay, so they're depicting the altar location, and they're literally with surveyors standing right here performing surveys of the temple. I mean, stunning. Again, here you can see this view and vantage point of the altar, this structure on the outside, and then the Dome of the Rock. Now, we also want to show you some of the other photographs that the Sanhedrin had posted. Okay, so in this one, it shows the temple area, the altar, and then this area here. In Revelation 11, it says, "Measure not the outer court, for is for the Gentiles." So they posted this with the temple, the altar, and then the outer court in this photograph. In this one, the Sanhedrin posted the Temple Institute's Sanhedrin blueprint. And this we know to be the underground synagogue called the Chamber of Hewn Stone that is already built. So many parts of the third temple are already built, okay, but they posted this photograph. Again, we showed you where that temple is in relation to the Dome of the Rock. And they also posted this photograph, which is Ezekiel's temple. Now, I want you to notice, though they posted this, the layout and structure of this is very large. It actually doesn't fit on the temple layout. You can see in the layout, it's a whole complex of buildings, and you can see that the Temple Mount area is not superimposed in any way because this is just too large to fit. We have other videos on this, guys, on measure the temple and the altar. And in doing so, finding the measurements, we can find very important and insightful information. So this is stunning. We actually have, these plans, these measuring of the temple, measure the altar, taking place where each, here you can see Sanhedrin, the 70 nations. This is where they posted Ezekiel chapter 43, and they're in the building of the temple with the Sanhedrin. We saw it with the Temple Institute as well. So, guys, these are stunning developments to think that the surveyors were performing measurements for the third temple on the Temple Mount. Now, in this post by the Sanhedrin and 70 Nations Facebook page, here you can see the basically the Noahide laws. Okay, so these are the Noahide laws, and they're posting it. It's kind of long. You can go there, you can read it. But guys, we want to make it very plain of what they're saying. So they talk about the laws and everything. If one does not accept these commands, he should be executed. Let me say that again. If one does not accept these commands, he should be executed. Okay? A person who formally accepts these commands is called a resident alien. Okay? So you can read this whole thing. It's long. This was posted January 9th in the rules of the Noahide laws. Guys, this is going on. This is not a hoax. This is the Sanhedrin, 70 nations. These are photographs of their Facebook page showing the measurements of the third temple. Okay? And we have the Sanhedrin at the same time posting January 14th surveys taking place on the Temple Mount to measure the temple. Okay? So go to the Facebook page. You can read this yourself. And guys, we have lots of videos on the third temple. We have lots of information for you to be educated about what is going on. Much of the prophecies related to the third temple, okay, have been fulfilled. The red heifer, the altar. All that we're expecting is that there is a temple on the Temple Mount area and or an altar, okay? As crazy as all this may seem, this is happening. This is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. And we can't emphasize enough for you to educate yourself, understand these subject matters, stay abreast of what is happening on the Facebook page of the Temple Institute and the Sanhedrin 70 Nations. Okay? Everything is shifting to Jerusalem. In fact, let's look at another article. Here we are in Israel 365 News, and you can see the title of the article, America is Collapsing. Israel Must Step Up as a New World Superpower. Yes, this is what the rabbis are saying, that based on what's taken place in America, America is in crisis. It will collapse. This is the big collapse that we saw take place on Capitol Hill. And they're likening America to Egypt and Rome. Egypt and Rome, and the collapses and the plagues of Egypt and the collapse of Rome, and we know historically they're saying is happening to America. And they're talking about the other powers, Russia, France, Great Britain, all the empires collapsed. Okay, but at this time, now that you have the state of Israel, what they're saying is that Israel must take this place and fill the void. We've been called upon to fill this vacuum. There are problems inside the state of Israel as well, but unlike Europe, Israel leads the world in the stability of family values, okay? Because Israel has biblical values, they're saying that they should be the new world superpower. And this is what we've been telling you guys about, that the shift of global governance will go to Jerusalem. And we will recall the heavy price of destruction of the second temple. It can't be repeated. So again, mentions here of the temple, and we're showing you that the measurements and things are taking place on the temple in this article, okay? But Israel is stable, is called upon to take its place as a world leader in values, and I realize that many people, this sounds very pretentious, but this is the template of God that promises through our forefathers Abraham that all the families of the earth should be blessed by you, okay? Reflecting on the Jewish people, he says, don't recognize the opportunity. He says, the only ones who do not see this in this time has come for us to recall our destiny. We need to prepare for it so that we can fulfill all the necessary responsibilities to not make mistakes like they made, okay? So they're speaking about Israel becoming the new world superpower. This is what we've been telling you, that Israel will step up as a new world superpower, and it will be in Jerusalem around the temple. Okay, so we have all these articles about the third temple being built and the measurements of the temple taking place. This is coming very, very soon, guys. So Jerusalem will be the center of global governance, world governance, as we explained, and there will be a third temple. This is what you're seeing before your eyes as Bible prophecy being fulfilled. This is the Abraham Accords and the world peace, world religion, okay? Bringing together the three religions together, and it must be centered in Jerusalem, Okay, we've already shown you the Chamber of Hewn Stone, part of the Sanhedrin, is already built underground. Please go to the Third Temple playlist, guys, and see all the prophecy being fulfilled. The Third Temple news we're sharing in this video. Measure the temple and the altar. So there'll be links in the description field for the Third Temple playlist. Please go to that. Okay, we've covered a lot of this before with the altar. So thanks for watching, and God bless you.